Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Unleash Her. So, in case you don't know me, I'm Roberta, and I'm your host for today's podcast. And this is where we empower women to heal from within and to embrace their authenticity while creating extraordinary lives. And I'm so excited to introduce you to an amazing friend of mine, Miss Jennifer Rogers. Hi, Jennifer.
Hey, Roberta.
How are you?
I am well today. How are you doing?
I am so good. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm so excited to talk to you. And of course, we had a few minutes to chat before we got started. And let's just say it's been an interesting day. So we've had lots of technical glitches and this and that. And you know what? It's okay.
That's right.
It's
We're still
okay.
here. We're still showing
We
up.
are here. So if you wouldn't mind, please tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me today, allowing me to come in your space a little bit. Again, my name's Jennifer Rogers. I am from Norman, Oklahoma. I always get asked, where are you from when I start talking? So there it is, if you're wondering where that lovely accent is coming at you. But from Oklahoma, born and raised my whole life. And I am most excited to share with you that I've got grandbaby number 6 coming. And
Oh my
so,
gosh.
yes, so excited about that. And that is, one of the best things that lights up my life right now is spending time with my kids and definitely my grandkids. So, enjoying every minute.
I love that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you look way too young to have six grandbabies, I must
Yes.
say.
Girl, my grandma told me a long time ago, use your sunscreen and your moisturizer, and I have done it faithfully and it works. So that's my only beauty secret,
Love
sunscreen
it.
and moisturizer. Yeah,
Love it. Thank you for sharing that.
you're welcome.
So we were introduced from a mutual friend. She's like, I don't know, you guys just you need to talk here.
Mhm.
Introduced
Yeah.
us and just left us. No. And so we had an opportunity to talk, and I knew that you have a story to tell, and you're so inspiring. My goodness, if you could, whatever you want to share with us, I would love.
Absolutely. Well, I always say that, life doesn't just hand you one trauma, it hands you many. And so I'm like every one of you that's listening. I've had many traumas in my life, but the one that really defined me, if I was to look back and say, this is the road that set me on my trajectory to be the woman I am today, was when I was 8 years old. And I just want to share that this may be a little bit of a trigger warning for some of the listeners. The story may be hard to hear, but we share it in truth and we share it in healing. And more importantly, we share it in empowerment because at the end of the day, we own our story. Our story doesn't own us. And we get to decide how we're going to survive and live. So I'll take you back. The very first time I recall a gentleman coming in my bedroom, I was 4 years old. And he woke me up in the middle of the night by placing his hands between my legs. And I immediately woke up. My eyes are just wide awake. And I ask, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I'm just checking to see if you need to use the restroom." At 4 years old, I'm potty trained. I can get up, I can go to the restroom by myself. I don't say anything, I don't question anything. I just, in my 4 year old mind, I rationalize, well, he's an adult. That must have been what he's doing, right? So I don't say anything to my mom. I go on. A few weeks later, we move and we move into this big, beautiful home, big 2-story home. And to me, it's picture book. It's what every little girl dreams of. I have my own bedroom, go up the stairs. At the end of the stairs, I've got this beautiful window that looks out over the neighborhood. My little brother, the little pesky brothers at the end of the hallway. And my mom and her husband, who's not my biological dad, sleep in the middle bedroom. And it's not long before my stepfather starts coming into my bedroom at night. But unlike being the 4-year-old and remembering the first time it happened so many times, I can't recall the first time it happened. So this continues on from age 5 to age 8. And many nights it happens. I don't know how to report it to my mom, share it with friends, share it with family. But I'm telling you, at that young age, I knew this wasn't right. This isn't what happens to other little girls. This doesn't happen to anybody that I've known. And the best word I could think of was, this is weird, right? This is strange and weird, because I have this man coming to my room, waking me up and telling me all these horrible things. If you tell, I'll do this to you. I'll harm you. I'll harm your mother, and fill in the blank with whatever worst case scenario you can think of. And that's what my 8-year-old ears heard. And that's what I woke up to. And so there I am, frozen in that 8-year-old body. And so I thought, okay, I've got to save myself somehow. So I thought, I'll get my little brother to sleep in the bed with me. Surely if he's in here, this will stop. So I go down the hall. I start asking my brother to come to bed with me. There's a 3-year difference between us. So my brother is about 3 to 4 at the time when I'm asking him to come, snuggle in the bed or whatever. But this doesn't stop. And I'm just like, okay, this isn't working either. So I stopped getting my brother out of his bed. And the next thing I can think to do is I'm going to line toys up from the door to my bed. So at least when he comes in my bedroom, I hear him trip over the toy instead of having this scratchy beard and this vulgar smelling breath of cigarettes and just stench wake me up. And so I do that. I use my toys and those wake me up. And so this happens almost every night. It continuously happens. But what I've noticed is whenever I put the toys in front of the bed, a lock appeared on my mother's door on the outside. So now he's locking her in the bedroom while he's in my room. But in my 8-year-old mind, I'm thinking, okay, well, she'll wake up. She'll notice he's not in bed and she'll come looking. And she's going to find him and she's going to save me. This is how I'm going to be rescued. This is how this is going to stop. But that doesn't happen. Things like that don't happen that easily. So it continues on. And every morning I would get up, put my toys away, make my bed, go on to school like nothing had happened. And I would do this continuously over this 3-year process. And where I would take sanctuary is in my closet, because I could hide in my closet. I could block out the world. It was nice and quiet and dark, but it was a mess in there. There was papers thrown everywhere. There was clothes. And that's probably typical for a childhood anyway. But when you compound what's going on in the mind that can't share what's happening to the body, it's just a complete mess. And so I go on until I wake up one morning and he has passed an infection to me. And my 8-year-old body can't handle the infection. And now I'm in such pain that I have to tell. And I remember getting up that morning, just like I got up yesterday, like this happened yesterday. And I come down the stairs and I had on my favorite color to this day is turquoise. And I'm sure it was that way then, but it was a turquoise colored pair of pants and a cute little sweater. And I come down the stairs and he's gone. My mom's in the house getting things ready for the day. And I come down the stairs and I tell her what's happened. And at this time, we had one car, no phone, we're kind of secluded. So she takes me next door to the neighbors and uses the phone. And I am scared to death because I'm thinking, oh no, I've already told my mother. Now she's calling the police. Now the neighbor has heard this is it. He's going to come home, and all of these threats, all of these, I'm going to harm you, I'm going to hurt your mother, your brother, all these things are coming to fruition. It's going to happen. Only it doesn't. The local police department come, they picked my mother and I up, take me to the local hospital. And I remember laying there in this sterile white room, and the nurse comes in and they begin asking you questions, and they take out a pair of scissors. And if anybody has gone through this process, they understand what a sexual assault exam feels like. And it's not comfortable. It's not a warm and we're sorry we're doing this and walking through. It's very intrusive. And you compound that at 8 years old when you don't know what's going on already. And to this day, I can still remember the sound and the feel of those scissors cutting up the leg of my favorite pair of pants, and just that crunch from each clip. And so I go through the exam and they confirm to my mom, yes, this has been going on for some time. Yes, she does have an infection. Here's a plan of action. So I'm thinking, okay, now we're going somewhere. Now we're getting somewhere. But we still don't, not even with law enforcement, not even with medical care. We're sent right back to the home. They're dropped off right back to our home. So my mother is reliant on this man for financial care, for her own love and comfort. And what does she do? The best that she can is to move us out of that home to a smaller home where she can have eyes, right? She can see what's going on. So we move out of the big 2-story to a smaller home. Now my brother and I are sharing a room. There is a bathroom between our bedroom and our mother's bedroom. Well, just because you're in a smaller home doesn't mean that abuse stops. Abuse just changes, and the way that it happens changes, and the way that things are done changes. And that's exactly the path that happened for me. Now we go to watching me bathe and telling me how to bathe or wash my body or what to do with my body. And I'm like, okay, when are the police coming? Like, I've told, they know I'm on medicine, what's going on? And nothing happens. And so I go to school one day, and at the end of the day, I walk home because I'm 2 blocks now from school. And as I come down the alley, I can see the car is gone. But I don't know if you've ever had that gut feeling or that intuition that something is just so strong, you have to listen to it. That's the first time I felt that at 8 years old. And there was something telling me, don't go home. Your mom's gone. He's there. And it was so powerful that I was like, that's it. I'm not going home. I am not going home. So at 8 years old, second grade, instead of turning left to head to my house, I turned right and I walked away. And I walked about a mile and a half, which for an 8-year-old is quite a ways. And I walked to my mom's friend's home, and her name is Tina, which today is still, I believe, in all kinds of connections. One of my best friends and my coworkers' name is Tina. So I'm like, we're just, things just line back around for us in life. But I walked to her house and I knock on the door, and there I stand, this little 8-year-old girl, this oversized backpack, just trembling. And she opens the door and she says, Jennifer, what are you doing here? And she's, come in the house, come in here, what's going on? And I said, will you please call my grandmother? Please tell her to come get me because I know my Nana is going to come get me. I know she will. And she said, well, what's happening? What's taking place? And so I tell her everything that has gone on. And she says, okay, I'll do this for you. And she doesn't ask me any questions. It was not like what I'd been through at the hospital where it's so intrusive. It was, okay, we'll do this. And she said, come in the kitchen with me. I'm repotting some plants. Why don't you help me do that? And so we did. We sat down on the kitchen floor, and I remember she had those tiny styrofoam cups, and there was potting soil around. And so we were just messing with these cups and these plants. And there came a knock on the door, and she swooped me up in one big hug and grabbed my backpack, took me to her bedroom closet and puts me in the closet. And she says, I want you to be very quiet. Don't say anything. Okay. So she goes and answers the door, and it's my mom at the door, and she's crying, and I can hear her from inside the closet crying. And she says, Tina, I don't know where Jennifer is. She didn't come home from school today, and we can't find her. And in that moment, I was torn because now I've scared my mom. I need to go to her. And I'm sitting in that closet like, do I get out? Do I stay? Tina told me to stay, but my mom's crying. So you've got this 8-year-old confusion and this push and pull going back and forth on what do you do when you just made the biggest step to save yourself, right? And I hear Tina say, I have your daughter and you can't have her. And as soon as I heard those words, Roberta, it was like a weight lifted off of me because somebody listened, somebody cared, and somebody, more than anything, believed me, believed me. And so, she was true to her word. My mother left, my grandmother showed up, collected me and my little brother, and we go to live with her for some time. And that is beautiful. She gets me some counseling, gets me in some programs and things to put me on the right path. And I said at the very beginning, life doesn't just hand you one trauma. And so my mom did some work, and she left that gentleman, remarried, and we go to live with her again. And this man is, she's told him our story, what she's been through. And we immediately get, oh, I would never harm your children. I would never this, I would never that. And those nevers never came. Should have never been a part of that sentence because those are the things he exactly did. And it took her 7 years to get away from him. And it started out slowly with him, just watching here, watching there. And I thought, I'm not doing this again. I am not going through this again. And I remember the first time that he tried was, I was probably 14 or so. Do you want to drive the car? Well, what 14-year-old doesn't want to drive? Every 14-year-old wants to drive. And I'm thinking, yeah, let's go. The only thing was he didn't move out of the driver's seat to allow me to drive. I have to sit on his lap. And then he would adjust the mirror so he could see in the mirror what he's doing to me. And I thought, no, this isn't going to end well. And so I don't know how to tell my mom this again. I've already been through this. I've already done this. And I write her a note and I leave it on her pillow. Not the easiest thing to do. And looking back, I probably should have had another conversation, but it was just so hard. And on top of doing that, I lost my father my biological father in a drunk driving accident. He was a pedestrian walking, and someone hit him, ran him over, and killed him. And so that left myself and four siblings without a dad. And so you just have trauma built on top of trauma. And as I grew up, I thought, I'm not going to be a statistic. I refuse to do it. The state of Oklahoma has already placed me in this statistic profile, but that doesn't mean I have to live there. I get to choose where I want to go. And so after my second stepfather molesting me and that coming out, we moved in with our grandparents for the second and final time. We never went back to our mother. And it was hard for me to have that relationship with her because there was a lot of blame, right? I'm your daughter. How do you not stand up for me? How do you not protect me? And I carried that with me for years, lots of years, to the point where there was times I didn't trust her with my own children because would she stand up for them? Would she honor my protection of them? And it was a couple of years ago, I was introduced to Reiki. And it was like the missing piece in my life. And really just to sit in that quiet meditative state. And I thought, I've got to talk to her. I've got to see what's going on. And in visiting with my mother, I found out she was abused as a child by her own grandfather. My grandmother, her mother, was abused by the same man, which was her biological father. My great grandmother abused. So you had 3 generations above me that had all been abused by men sexually. And for my grandmother, it was her own father that done it and then did that to her daughter. And so I finally was able to see, well, if nobody stood up for them, how could I expect them to stand up for me? And we talk about forgiveness, and that forgiveness really isn't for the other person, it's for yourself. And I wholeheartedly believe that. But when you forgive yourself, you also give a little piece to that person, because that changed the dynamic of my mom and I. And it's changed where I've gone in my life. Like I can look at her and I can love her as a mother and not have this hard feeling and not regret not having a relationship with her. We get to move on. We get to enjoy what's here today. But when times are tough, I'll be extremely transparent and honest. I always go back to that 8-year-old little girl because I thought if she had not turned and gone right that day and went left home, this woman wouldn't be here today. And that courage that she has still lives in me. So when there's times I think I can't do something, I didn't, going to college, that's how I got out. I was, any type of education I could receive, I'm signing up for it. So when things would get hard, I can't do this paper. I can't write. Really? You can't? Because I'm pretty sure there was a little girl that did something a lot harder than you did, and she walked you through it. Why don't you talk to her about those things? So it's important to stay connected to that inner child and honor them, what they've brought you through.
Wow. You are one of the strongest people I've ever met.
Thank you.
And just I'm sure everyone is just like, whoa, I can't even imagine what you've been through. But we don't have to keep going back there. We can
Yeah.
say, look at her right now. Look at what you've done for your life and your family's life. You have
Yes.
changed the direction of everything. I mean, That is so empowering.
Mhm.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And thank you for sharing all of this with us. And I know some people are just thinking, how did you do that? How did you um and we just admire you for all of those things. When did you start being able to tell your story? Is this something that you're like, have to do this? Like, this is kind of where I've been the past few years.
Mhm. So that's a great question because for a long time, I didn't want anybody to know my story
Mhm,
because I wanted you to look at
mhm,
me and like me and love me for the person you see today,
mhm,
not, oh, you've been through it and have, those soft feelings for me. I wanted you to see that. But the last probably 2 years is really where I've been because I thought this is we all have a story.
mhm,
And while our stories are different, they're
mhm,
still helpful of each other. And I thought there are other little girls out there that need help. There are women that have not shared their story that were just like me that shut it down and carried it inside. And there's more room on the outside. Get it out,
mhm,
let that energy out so that you
mhm,
can shine. And that's really where I'm at that, you know what? I didn't cause this. It's not my fault.
mhm,
And you're not going to take my smile from me anymore. You're not going to take my words from me anymore. And if you happen to see me doing good or you happen to hear me, you know, great. I'm happy for you. I made it, you know, and I don't let that control hold me down anymore because I put myself in a box for so long. Everything had to be just perfect. I didn't want, and the reason why I didn't want any attention on me, right?
mhm,
Well, it's okay. It's okay to have attention.
mhm,
We can go through these hard things in life, and it's okay for others to applaud us. It's okay for us to put makeup on and be beautiful. It's okay to have great relationships with our significant partners. It's okay to enjoy ourselves. And we have to work through and not let our abusers take that from us because we deserve all those good feelings.
Yeah. Yeah. Very well said. You're so well spoken.
Thank you.
And so, the thing is that I, as I was telling you about 7 years ago too, that I was just in an abusive relationship, not a physical, but it doesn't have to be physical
That's
abuse,
right.
and I was so embarrassed. It's like I just wanted to move on, move away from all of that. And then the first time that I actually said it out loud, it was like, oh my gosh. Because I want other people to know too that that's not okay to treat people that way.
That's right.
And so I took the time to work on myself and know my worth and not, because you can get very hard after something like that. You can get
Mhm.
very stoned and now it's just time to say, okay, you know what? Yes, we do have a story and we're not comparing stories
Nope.
as we were saying before. And we're here to support each other and encourage each other. And so where does that where does that lead you now?
So I woke up, honestly, November 1st, 2022. I woke up and I told my husband, I said, I have to start this women's group. If I don't, I
Mhm,
know I'm going to look back in life and feel like I missed it. And so I started a women's group, just started on Facebook groups that day. And that's really where my heart is. And it's just a safe place for women to come in and celebrate whatever the win is or share whatever they want to share. I always say it's like, you know, maybe your win is, for me, it was not doing the laundry immediately because again, I had to have things so lined up.
Mhm.
No, I don't. It's okay to let that laundry sit. You can tumble it dry later, or if somebody needs something to wear and it's in the laundry, they can go get it themselves. It's okay. It's all right. I didn't hit snooze to get up and go to work this morning. I got up right out of the box. Great. Because where I'm from, one of the first things that we're always asked is, where do you go to church? What church do you belong to? And I was very cautious of that with my group because for some of us, we have church trauma. So I wanted my group to be open to everybody that says, hey, if you want to post biblical verses here, by all means do it. If you want to come in and you do tarot readings, by all means do it because we're all on a different path. But what we all have in common, we're all women and we're all just trying to make it through the day. And the way we're going to do that is through kindness and support. And that's what I ask in my group is uplift each other. You know, let us know if you have your own business. Tell us about it. We want to buy from you. Just like you have a podcast, tell us about it. We want to follow you because that's what it's about. It's about those true connections. And that's where I want women to come and feel safe and secure. And to, you know, they find a funny meme, pop it in there. Let's go. Let's laugh together. You need us to pray for you today? Put it in there. You've got it, sister. We've got your back, you know, and we've had a retreat. We held a retreat in November of last year. It was my first retreat. I didn't know anything about it. I've learned some lessons, but it was called the Healing Retreat. And it was the most beautiful thing. But I'll tell you, the greatest takeaway was to be able to call my mom up in front of that group, have her sit in a chair and tell her, you know, I've forgiven her a long time ago. She needs to forgive herself and she needs to do her own work and love herself and move on. And while I'm sharing this, someone in the crowd yells out, I love you. And then it was just a ripple effect of I love you, I love you, I love you, pouring that into my mom. And I could not have asked that group of ladies to support me anymore in that moment. And that defined what my group was about right there.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
beautiful. That gives me chills, and that's what it boils down to is love.
Yes. Love.
Love. We
Self
just
love, love of
self-love.
others. Yes.
Yes. Just love, compassion. So beautiful. Oh my gosh. Um you have a mission.
I do.
Mhm. And you're open and you're listening, and I'm sure that everyone can feel just by the way that you speak that you are going to help so many people. You already have, and continue to do that because people need that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even when we
What's
think we're healed, we still need to continue on.
right? Yes, I will spend the rest of my life just trying to do better,
Yes.
just one day
Yes.
at a time.
That is it. One day at a time.
Yeah.
That is it.
So, what do you want to share, like your group on Facebook and things, or how people can get in touch with you, or
Absolutely. My group on Facebook is called Paria Meraki. And I am big on words. I love words, and you'll see me in my group do affirmations. That's very important to me. And so, Paria is a gathering of like minded individuals, and Meraki means doing something that you love and pouring a little bit of your soul into it. And that's exactly what that group is. So, You can find it on Facebook and on Instagram. I'm more active on Facebook. I'm
Mhm.
still learning Instagram, to be honest, but we're getting there. And then you can find me on Facebook as well, Jennifer Rogers. My maiden name is Edward, so you'll see that out there. But I would love to connect with whoever, feels like they need that encouragement, empowerment, or would want to join the women's group, because we're always arms open and welcoming.
Thank you. Thank you so
Welcome.
much for sharing that. And so, we'll also be sharing this information where you can find it down um, here. So, this has been very empowering, and your confidence is just wow. I
Thank you.
mean, I'm like, you're so strong, but you definitely have touched people in their hearts. And thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you would like to add?
I don't think so.
I know. I
I
think you told your story so well. And I can't wait. Like, I know that God has brought us together, and you have a big platform here. You are just getting started. And so again, thank you.
No, thank you, Roberta, for your time, and thank you for having me today.
Right. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for joining us today. And I hope that you feel empowered, and reach out if you want to talk. And I love to leave this instead of saying goodbye, because my grandma never wanted to say goodbye.
Mhm.
And she would, so instead of goodbye, I'm going to leave you with so long.